going to play Aussie Siege, is what they called it, which they played against Evil Geniuses in Rio, and it did quite a number on EG, who were unable to get that bread, I think people would say, because of that. For Empire, if they want to obtain the grain, then they're going to have to outsmart Fnatic. The good news is for Empire is that they're going to be starting off on their map choice. Now, because of the way that the system works, as you saw on the map ban phase, you ban a map, your opponent bans a map, then you get to pick one. You know that Consulate and Oregon are the two best maps for Empire. Coastline is a close third. You know that you can only ban one of them, so what do? I think Oregon was the smart choice, and Consulate is a much better map for Fnatic. We'll lock in the operator bans, and for Empire, it'll be both Buck and Mira. It'll be a Nomad and Echo ban for Fnatic, and we'll start on the very first defensive round for Team Empire.
Those Empire bans are clearly just comfort. You want to make sure you're as comfortable as possible on both attack and defense. And some things you just don't want to deal with. A Buck coming from you from above or below can be a pain if you're defending on Consulate, and a Mira can be difficult to contest with. Sometimes something that I think a team like Empire just doesn't want to handle. On the side of Fnatic, Nomad trying to gate those runouts, and Echo as well. Echo's pretty much useful all the time, and get rid of him, and it's easier to attack through places like the main garage on the bottom bomb site. So here we go. We've got our operator bans, we've got our ops selection, and we're going to go ahead and start on the top floor for Team Empire. Pretty standard stuff. You'll usually see top floor as the first defense. Some teams will try to go to the bottom floor to mix up their opponents, and bottom floor can be easier to defend if there's no thermite, but not going to be the case here for Team Empire.
Now, if you've ever watched the way that Empire plays on Consulate, they don't run as many information operators as you'd imagine. You'll notice that there's an absence of Valkyrie. Obviously, with Echo being banned, you're not going to have him available. The Mute that is on the board does not come equipped with a deployable camera. In this case, with the bulletproof camera, he's got the Nitro cell on his kit, which means that you're going to rely a lot on those two Evil Eyes from Karzeka. Lucky for Fnatic, there's a Twitch on the board who can take them out single-handedly, and depending on where Karzeka places those Evil Eye cams, you could find out that your information is gone in the blink of an eye. The thing is though, Empire doesn't really need that, because they are a team that is exceptionally good at not just predicting fights, but also taking them and winning them. So it doesn't really matter whether there's Valkyrie cameras up, whether there's yokai drones in play. So for Empire, this is going to be a slugfest, and Fnatic, who they said will be playing Aussie Siege, are going to need to break open Empire on this first map.
When normal Siege isn't good enough. Fnatic starting things off, clearing out paper, printer, as others call it. Also going to be working on admin office, and this is a pretty easy take given how little defense there is on the admin side for Team Empire. Joystick and Dan are the closest to that position, and they're pretty far away. Joystick might be going for a roam downstairs by Visa. He could potentially catch some kills on the flank if some of the Fnatic players aren't paying attention, but with this drop down being opened up by Virtue, that is going to be, I think, much more difficult for Joystick.
And Joystick looks like he's going to go for the run out, trying to catch somebody, and he will! He'll start things off by taking out Magnet. And just as you expect him to do, he'll be there to contest early on. But his entrance back inside will be caught out. Oh my God! Through the hatch looking for a third, but won't be able to collect it. Two for Joystick. A great start for him and his team, alleviating some of the entry that you saw from Fnatic.
So Joystick with an excellent start, as you said, and really that's just him with some aggression. Nothing else going on there. Virtue was a little bit late on opening the drop down, and Joystick heard the drop get opened up after he was setting up for the run out, but decided just to commit to his play, figuring that his opponent would expect there not to be a run out there, given that they would expect the flank hold to be in. It wasn't. Great job to Joystick, good read, and Lusty is gonna get the first kill for Fnatic. So here we go, or rather the second kill for Fnatic. Here we go, A site opened up just a little bit there. Joystick and one other, Dan, on the floor.
Here's the thing, though. With the two operators that fell from Fnatic, you've lost both of the best opportunities to take out those Evil Eye cameras. So even though Dan and Joystick will be riding the pine, if you're a hockey fan, they'll still be able to give callouts based on where those Evil Eye cameras are, because you're not going to have a ton of tools. You still got Virtue, but he's deprived of utility completely, as you can see on your screen.
We do have, I believe, one Evil Eye still inside of A. It was placed there at least, so we'll see if it persists, but it could be Virtue who actually got rid of it with the lifeline earlier. Fnatic just setting up on the A site. You can see Empire's setting up for a retake strategy, going to use their gas canisters to delay. The smoke's coming out to counter that. Ace is going to be downed by Karzeka and finished off as well. That's good teamwork there for Empire. Karzeka looking to hold on to the main hallway. Rush into connector is not going to work out for Lusty. And now it's just Virtue in a 1 versus 3. He will down one. Can he get a second? Yes, he can. Can he get a third? He needs one more in connector, and he gets it! Virtue, the absolute madman! What a clutch! A 1 versus 3! And the first round goes to Fnatic.
Oh my word. That's the loudest the crowd has been in the last day and a half that we've been here so far.
That was the loudest I've been. That was absolutely insane.
So maybe it will be the Joystick and Virtue show. I mean, 4 kills for Virtue on the round. Joystick gets 2 for his team, but it almost worked. Everybody from Empire tended to push at the same time, and Virtue just lined them all up. What an incredible performance. The win conditions for Fnatic requires Virtue to show up as strong as he has, but you need some support for the rest of this team. You saw him single-handedly carry his team through the Nora Rengo match yesterday on border, tying the record for the most kills on land that Karzeka also had, if I remember correctly, from the Coastline matchup at the finals of the Six Invitational in 2019 with 21 kills on land, surpassing the number that was set by Pengu originally. And some praise was being given there too. This is a great start for Virtue. He needs to show up just as big as he did yesterday, but the depth on that team needs to be there, because even if you knock out Joystick, Dan, who had a bit of a showing yesterday that I think silenced the doubters when he came onto that team, replacing Shockwave's role. A lot of people weren't really so hot on Dan from the small sample that they saw of him in EU Pro League. They changed up a couple of rules on Empire, and Dan looked a lot more comfortable yesterday on attack. You've also got Joystick and Karzeka, and when he decides to go for it, Scyther too. There's 4 people on Empire who can take over a game, and Fnatic need to be able to do the same.
Well, not a lot of time in European Pro League for Dan to really prove himself. So I agree with you. I think he's coming out pretty well so far at this final. It's Raz and Virtue setting up to take into admin office here. That's the clear strategy through and through for Fnatic. They want admin, they want printer. They're going to go at it together as a team. You could see Rizraz using that upside down repel really hard to counter right now in Siege, and it's a very powerful tool you've got to use correctly at this level. Lots of patience, lots of caution from Fnatic. They lost somebody on this repel, on this south repel, last round. They don't want to lose anybody again. And they're waiting for Virtue to open up. You just heard that explosion. He opened up the drop down in admin office to isolate the Visa flank. So there you go. Fnatic a little bit more aggressive, quicker, and more cautious than last round. All rolled into one. You love to see it. Some good efficiency.
I mean, a large part of that was Joystick not taking 2 of your tools away from you with the first minute. That's you can execute a lot better when it's a 5v5 rather than a 3v5, as basic as that analysis might seem. But because of this, there's going to be some good guns on the side of Fnatic as well. And I think Empire will have to be a lot more cautious. I understand the risk that Joystick took in that first round. It was an exceptional one. And the right call, ultimately. They're still expecting for Fnatic that he's downstairs, which is why you could see that soft destruction and flank watch being committed from 2 members of FNC. Trying to draw him out as best as they can, expecting him to come up Visa stairs for the time being, but Joystick is not taking that bait. He's actually rotating on over towards yellow, so Fnatic doesn't understand. They have full control over by the admin side of things and can keep pushing, but nobody has any sight on where Joystick happens to be on this map.
Ooh, Joystick's just found his prey. It's the sledge by the main door, and he's going to, not see the leg of his opponent, but the drone does go down. Gives away his position. That will be called out throughout all of Fnatic, which is going to force Joystick to fall back and play a little bit more passive. It's only 40 seconds left here for Fnatic to make the execution happen into the site, and Dan's going to be the one to feel the pressure. There it is. Lusty takes the head off of Dan, and now Fnatic have the entry they need to make this execution happen.
You're going to rely a lot on Karzeka playing these poke holes that he uses on the wall of connector, and somebody's going to need to make sure that they take him down with Shepard there as well to possibly launch in somebody. Joystick finds his intended target, and it'll be on Virtue. So silencing the best gun on Fnatic over the last day. Wait to see if Joystick can get back to site. Still downstairs, being watched by Aces. You'll see Scyther rush on in, take out Lusty. Rizraz finds Scyther, so both teams will trade another from Aces on a Joystick, but Fnatic will have to rush on in. Rizraz taking a beating from Karzeka as they will exchange fire with one another. Aces in a default plant spot, waiting to see if Shepard or Karzeka can push on in. Magnet's there for cover, shuts down Karzeka. Shepard downs Rizraz. It's all up to Shepard as it's a successful plant going down. Aces will head for the hills as Shepard finishes off the kill that he had started with. He's at full HP and will need to now work on in. Situated by Long Desk, as Fnatic will move in the post plant. Hold the angle upside down. 2 bodies on Aces and Magnet now to try and stave off Shepard's push. Diffuser's about to reach the halfway mark. A Shepard inside of admin does not have any information. This is a possibility for Fnatic to go up 2-0. Still waiting on Shepard, who is running out of time very quickly. You can hesitate as much as you want, play very carefully, but the Diffuser's only at 1/4 of the way left. Even if he gets the kill here, it's almost certain that he won't be able to do anything with it. And that's Aces to shut him down. Fnatic storm out to a 2-0 lead off of 2 very impressive takes on the console. Office.
So the first round, we see Empire take full control, thanks to Joystick. Excellent play. And then Virtue clutch it out right at the end, and he really just outskilled his opponents. He shouldn't have been allowed to have that win, but he got it. You can't take it away from him. And then in the second round, because Joystick doesn't put 2 on the board early, that pressure that Dan felt in that first round still happens. Dan is struggling to hold on to Projector by himself. And it's something that the defenders definitely need to correct moving forward. Empire are going to have to find a way to alleviate that pressure for Dan and assist him. This flank from Joystick not working out the second time around really hurt Empire. Now, there were a few mistakes made by Fnatic. For example, Long Desk wasn't held for very long. I did not mean it to come out that way, but it's true. We saw Rizraz. Rizraz's job was to hold Long Desk, okay? And he let the planter be killed by Long Desk by that Legion. That shouldn't have been allowed to happen. There was a refrag, but it forced a heavy rotation from Fnatic and a recovery of a round that was in full control for Fnatic prior to that mistake. But we're going to be moving to a different site now, so a lot of what's just happened in the first 2 rounds is going to be made slightly irrelevant here by a change in operator selection and site.
It did also look like when Lusty rushed on in to go for the plant at the very start, that Fnatic were deliberately baiting him to draw somebody out and trade him off.
Maybe.
Because the moment that Lusty died, there's a trade on the Scyther, and Aces barrels on in and immediately starts to get the Diffuser down yet again. That's not a call that you can necessarily make right on the spot. That seemed like it was premeditated. And because of that, you take out Scyther, you remove him from action, and Empire is probably not expecting you to try to get that Diffuser down within 3 seconds of you killing Lusty, whose job it was to get it down in the first place.
It's entirely possible. They had smokes in the main hallway by Long Desk. Maybe they were trying to cover, I'm not sure. But what I am sure of is, again, from Fnatic, it's an admin office take. This is... I mean, it's a reliable strategy for a lot of teams. We see it brought by many squads. Just, hey, you know what? Let's clear out admin office. Let's establish not only a flank hold on Visa, but also just that there are no roamers on the top floor. And that's the play here for Fnatic. Joystick will be roaming by Visa in tellers, so he could potentially come up from behind Fnatic if they don't fully clear him out. Karzek is going to get the first kill there on a Magnet. C4 from I'm below. I believe, yep, it was below. It was over by the bathroom hallway. And there goes your sledge. So a lot of the vertical pressure that you could apply with the hammer, gone. It looks like a waste of a C4 as well, though. Yeah, it was. It was a waste of a C4. Unfortunate.
There goes Joystick to Virtue. So this matchup that we will continue to look at for the entirety of the day will once again be shown. Maybe not shown, but there could possibly be a replay there.
It's unfortunate that Joystick's roam did not work out. He hid in tellers. Fnatic did not drone him out. And then when he came up for his flank, no dice.
I mean, the big thing here with taking Magnet down as well is now Virtue, who's been running breaching charges for most of the game so far, he's going to need to be the one situated inside a piano to take out the mute jammers. You can see that's the only hard breach denial from Empire. You don't have to worry about a Kaid or a Bandit.
Yep.
And that's exactly where Virtue is right now, inside a piano. And he'll try to play this Empire defense as best as he can, and also offer a way down into server by taking out the hatch that's just by the circle desk, not over sight, but close enough to it.
Fnatic, full vertical control, no roamers from Empire as far as we can tell. All 4 downstairs. Rizraz gonna challenge Dan and lose that fight. A big shotgun blast there for Dan to help win this. Shepard's gonna get another onto Aces and another for Dan. Wow, what a hold of Locker Hallway by Empire, and a round that looked to be in full control by Fnatic is slipping away. The Lusty has a chance. One firebolt kill there to shut down Dan, finally, by the locker hallway. He's going to rotate over to yellow. He's only got 16 seconds to make this work and only so many bolts. He's been found out, goes for the pre-fire, but cannot land any shots. 2 to contest with on 2 separate angles, and he will be shut down by Scyther. The first round for Empire, and a pretty solid lockout.
Really, that boils down to the double SAS play that we saw in the basement. Rizraz not expecting Dan to aggressively contest him inside of server, taking him out, and then there was a deliberate trade there. But then Dan was also there to get the second follow-up kill after you saw Shepard engage. It's a big gamble from Shepard, because if you're still ADS'd on those stairs, then maybe Shepard's shotgun will do quite a bit of damage, but not kill you outright. And because of this, you lose your smoke, you lose all that utility. Shepard fell anyway, but then, as you can see, Virtue gets taken out here as he has his back turned to Dan, and it was a perfect play from Empire. They read that exceptionally well, and they knew that you were going to have Fnatic invest in both yellow stairs as well as towards the main lobby side of things. It paid off, and Dan once again proving his worth on this squad. He really shone on, I would say, attack yesterday, but today it's defense where he's making up for it.
You know what I really like from that last round? Fnatic lost it, but did you see the way that they were setting up their flank watch? They had one person perched on the projector drop down for over main lobby, another person perched over spiral stairs. They had no hard flank watch on the Visa stairs. So what usually happens is people will open by that desk outside of admin office. They'll open the floor there, and then it'll cover the Visa stairs. But because they didn't do that, what they were instead trying to attempt to do is establish a flank watch that will get kills. They were baiting an open flank for Empire. And it almost worked out for Fnatic. They did manage to get themselves in the lead. They just, unfortunately, threw it away by everybody rushing into lockers in an awkward sort of format. So it was a nice try there for Fnatic. I really like the read on the way that that Empire plays, because they were correct that they could get some free kills if they baited Joystick into that flank.
So back upstairs to console office. Interesting that we're not going to see a roll to die on lobby. You've lost console office, the second floor site, twice now. And you go down to garage, you win it, you lock garage. Where do you go? Well, there's 3 more sites on this map. You could have gone to lobby, but instead they're going to tough it out on console office yet again. And I mean, we've seen teams pull through after defending a site 2 or 3 times, and somehow they managed to just find their groove. Could be what we're about to see from Empire here, but I wouldn't have been surprised to see that middle floor defense.
I wouldn't have been surprised either. And as you say, roll the dice. Is it more of a roll of the dice to defend middle floor in this circumstance, or top floor? Because, I mean, top floor has just been not working out for Empire. One thing I will say is we are seeing a slightly different strategy here from Fnatic, and by slightly, I mean wholly different. They are no... What? Scyther wins that against Lusty? A beautiful shot there onto the head of Lusty, and no damage done to Scyther. He's just been aggressive on this window throughout the entire round. But as I was trying to say, yeah, Fnatic not taking into admin office any longer. But what is their strategy is the question, because they are slowly taking into yellow stairs from below? Slowly is the key word there. Rizraz is going to take down Dan, though. So here we go, back to an even man count.
You got Virtue playing upside down, too, looking on into projector just to see if anybody's there. The bunch of punch holes, and it's pick one. What's behind lucky door number 1, or 2, or 3, or 7, as there appears to be? That could be a problem now. We'll see if Magnet's going to maybe prime a grenade to take out Scyther, but no, he puts it away. And it's going to be a yellow stairs push now for both Rizraz and Magnet. This double hard wall next to bathroom is where Scyther will play, and he peeks on out for the time being. He's still just safe and waiting.
It looks like Fnatic wants to isolate B and go for a plant, but that's so dangerous. There's plenty of counterplant utility on the side of Empire. They've got Evil Eyes, they've got C4 on Scyther just inside a bathroom. Rizraz pressuring yellow. Aces has made it into sight with the diffuser. There's no one below him with C4, so it's going to have to be a horizontal contest. And he's going to get it down if he continues like this. The gas canister's too late. Scyther and a flurry of kills coming out here. Empire on top. Fnatic, though, with the diffuser down. It's all on Magnet's shoulders in a 1 versus 3. But post-plan is totally manageable. With Aces on the floor outside, it doesn't seem like Empire are aware of his position, but will finally finish him off. Magnet waiting for the refrag, but he has to deny the defuse, or the disable rather, and he won't! Joystick, a beautiful round there, taking down the sledge on yellow stairs and allowing for the disable.
Getting that diffuser planted from Fnatic ended up being a Pyrrhic victory, and they moved on, losing Aces in the process, and Magnet was just caught between a rock and a hard place. You had Shepard watching Karzeka on the disable of that diffuser, and even if Magnet is able to win that fight, he still has to worry about Joystick, who has, you know, he's going to be playing Jaeger. He's got the speed to be able to ascend those yellow stairs as quickly as you saw. And that's Empire ironing out the issues that they had with that console office. This is going to prompt that middle floor of lobby. And you're absolutely right. Rolling the die on lobby is not the correct way of saying it. Apologies for misspeaking. But I mean in the sense that most teams are more prepared when it comes to that second floor. For some teams, lobby is a less comfortable fit for defense. And just like that, Empire, after learning from their mistakes, have now tied this game up on their map. For me, the win conditions for Fnatic are you must win your own map. Now, that's the second map, so for Empire, they're still going to have a good chance. They've got Clubhouse as map number 3, but losing Consulate, a map that a lot of people would argue is tied for their best map. I would say Oregon is still their best map, period. But a map like Consulate going in favor of Empire, that makes it a lot more difficult for Fnatic. If Fnatic can walk away with a victory here, going on to Border, Empire is a team that is used to playing European Border. They're not used to playing Australian Border, as the Aussies put it. And I think that the way that we'd see them play is a lot more chaotic and a lot more hectic.
Yeah, well, Empire are one of the most adaptable teams out there. You know, they run the same strategy every round. Sure, that's the storyline we're going with right now with them. But at the same time, I feel as though it's the same strategy with adaptations thrown in on an individual level. Scyther's challenging here, and he's actually going to be the one to eat some bullets, some damage, but down to about 75, 76 HP. It's still plenty manageable, but unfortunately, his peak not going his way. He'll just be playing inside a bathroom from now on. So this middle floor is an interesting site to defend. There are a lot of ways for the attackers to take an advantage, like hot breaching into Piano. This can work out great when there's a light defense on Piano, and Magnet and Virtue are going to put one on the board each, which means Fnatic have full control of Piano, but they're starting to lose it. The refrags and the retake from Empire are on point right now. And it's going to even out into a 3-3, but Ace is still inside of Piano, and he could start for a plant with that diffuser in hand.
You know Scyther's on cam, so he's got some information, and where Aces is he's going to eat an awful lot of damage engaging with Scyther. He will require somebody to come to the rescue, but there's Shepard from above as Empire has now retaken the second floor. The ebb and flow of this matchup, and the way that Fnatic worked their way on into the console office, took control of the area above the site, and then immediately got pushed back by Empire, was beautiful. It's going to set Fnatic into a position where they might not have the best idea of a follow-up. You could tell that most of their strategy involved taking control very early on and likely catching Empire off. And Scyther's brazen play on the Rizraz will give Empire the advantage. He'll be concussed for just a second, trying to track, but Virtue, this man is unstoppable. He's on an absolute heater as he takes down Scyther and will look to find 2 more. What a play that is by Virtue. And he's got time to work with. He's not wounded that badly, but if he goes to the skylight and engages, you know that Joystick and Shepard were both playing above on that second floor. It's very likely that while they are patrolling the second floor and they have control looking to the main floor, that they're going to have the full coverage. And Diffuser is also fallen, so you're going to have to go get that. And it's a high likelihood that Empire knows exactly where it is.
Yeah, well, if anyone's going to clutch it, it's going to be Virtue, but he's in a tricky spot, as you said. Coming up behind Joystick, might have just seen him. He will have, and it's a 1 versus 1 suddenly. Virtue versus Shepard. The smoke has to defend for 40 seconds. Virtue has been landing his shots today. He does not have any concussive blasts any longer. He does, though, have the explosive tipped rounds, and he's going to use those upstairs, knowing that the opponent is above. Shepard is playing inside a connector right now, though, and he's going to start creeping his way into CEO to try and contest from above. 20 seconds left. Virtue gets the diffuser. He's going to rotate just slightly to try and throw off his opponent. A fake out. Drop down is open. Virtue has to be aware of this. And now a rotation to the other bomb site. He dropped down open. This is going to be nearly impossible to plant, but he's going to do his best. Nope, it's not going to happen. He will have too much time. A serious mistake on Shepard's part if he loses this, and it's not going to be the case. A clutch from Shepard in the 1 versus 1. A beautiful try from Virtue, but just too much hesitation. And that last 40 seconds, and a default cam left up in the main lobby.
For those that aren't aware, there is a default camera over the main door of the lobby, and that was still intact. And because of this, it's very easy for somebody to call it Virtue was completely immobile. And yeah, it was a valiant effort, but it can only go so far. So Empire will take 3 rounds in a row. They will complete the cycle, and they can go back down to Cafeteria and Garage, which is exactly where they will go. Keep in mind that Console does tend to be quite a defensive map, so a 4-2 scoreline for Empire to emerge is good, but it's what a lot of teams expect to get. A 3-3, very similar to what we saw yesterday with Fnatic and Norarengo on Clubhouse, would be a victory for the attackers. The real question is going to be what exactly gets brought out here on Garage. We have a technical pause, just as I'm assuming something is being worked on. But on the Defenders lineup, the only breach denial that is currently in play is a mute. Because of this, you have to take control of Piano like we saw before. Who was the first to die last time? Magnet. And as Sledge, he's the person who's going to persist up there for as long as he can. Some teams will take a Buck, as you noted. Buck was taken out by Empire. That was their ban. An operator that gets oftentimes put in the hands of Virtue. So instead, he's been running the Zofia with breaching rounds or breaching charges. And because of this, he's the one that has to play upstairs inside a Piano. That might be a small enough adjustment that where you need those concussives from Zofia not being available because of the fact that Zofia needs to play inside a Piano, that could be a major thorn in the side of Fnatic when it comes to their attacking strat.
I do think that the Buck ban by Empire was a seriously smart move. It has caused Fnatic a little bit of heartache here on the attack. Sledge is not as versatile as Buck, and especially on a map like Consulate. I mean, come on. This is where I think this is, you could safe to say that this is the map where Buck started to become relevant in terms of vertical play on that skeleton key when they changed him around. Although it's hard to say at the same time. Though, yep, Fnatic struggling a little bit, lacking that excess of soft destruction that comes along with a Buck. So we'll see if they're able to adjust and able to make their Sledge work for them a little bit better. So far, on the side of Fnatic, it has honestly been the Virtue show. Most of the Fnatic players have, a couple kills, 2, 3. Virtue's at 10 right now. He's sitting at double digits, the only one in this match. And yeah, I mean, that's really been the story for Fnatic. We've seen 2 rounds from them, and since then, some close ones for sure, but mostly it's been Empire's game.
Yeah. A lot of it's also fallen on the shoulders of Fnatic always seemingly having that opening depth. Magnet in particular yesterday was absent from too many rounds because he was dying early on, especially on defense. And I don't know if that's just simply a lack of coordination. I don't know if that's carelessness on their part. There's too many reasons for why it could be happening. But when you do a post-mortem on a matchup, the reasoning behind it is not really that important. It's the result that you find. And in the case yesterday, there were a couple rounds that could have ended up being Norarengo's because of Magnet being the first to die. And if it had gone that way, you have a 2-0 victory for Norarengo, and they're here playing Team Empire instead. Whether you're on attack or whether you're on defense, something for Fnatic needs to give when it comes to giving up the opening deaths. And in this case, it tends to be Magnet. And yes, he's somebody who can provide leadership for his team, but he's often playing a role that is very heavy in utility and required in some capacity for the rest of his team's push.
See if he's able to persist better in these rounds moving forward. Again, with a basement defense, it's likely that Magnet will be on Sledge, and when Magnet is on Sledge, he's going to need to put in a little bit of an emphasis on that soft destruction. Though we have been seeing quite a lot of breaching charges being brought recently, and in fact, I would expect there to be quite a lot brought by Fnatic moving forward in future rounds, especially, again, knowing that it's going to be, in all likelihood, a basement defense. I haven't seen any of the offsite played just yet, that offsite being the new one that was introduced by Tellers. Again, most teams consider it to be faulty. I think Empire is not an advocate for it, given how many times we've seen Empire directly counter that Teller's defense. So if you remember the Russian through main lobby not too long ago, that pretty much solidified, yeah, it's an okay site, but if you know how to play against it, it's really hard to defend. Looks like we are going to be jumping back in the technical pause over, and it's going to be a basement hold, as we talked about. And also, as we talked about, lots of breaching charges on the side of Fnatic.
Rizraz, Virtue, and Aces are all running breaching charges. 9 of them available if they need it, alongside the fact that both Virtue and Magnet will have frag grenades, those explosive blasts from the Zofia Lifeline, and then also the Hammer. So much soft destruction here in the hands of Fnatic.
And you know what it is? It's probably just because, hey, our sledge keeps dying. Let's just bring so much soft destruction that, hey, if he dies, we're going to be fine. And, you know, you don't want Magnet to die early on, but if you can't avoid it, adapt. It's a good mentality to have on the side of Fnatic, and we'll see if it works out for them this time. Last time they attacked the basement, though, I have to say, their attack strategy was great up until when they actually started attacking the basement part, because they just walked into lockers and got shotgun blasts to the face from the SAS operators.
Yeah, they conquered the second floor very quickly. They shut Joystick down. They kept going from there, but the real part was the mid-round transition, which we've referred to in a number of different matches being the be-all and end-all of a lot of team strategies, is how can they tie in that entry towards the execute? And that's the steps that need to be really focused on from Fnatic in this round in particular, because it fell apart completely from that perspective the last time they were here. Came down to Dan and Shepard, both taking close-range engagements with the shotgun in their hands, and they walked away from it much better shape than Fnatic was. Very similar to the time before, though, Fnatic will once again take break room and admin office upstairs, and these breaching rounds will work to try to clear out the first floor. Then you translate that to the main floor, while for the most part, Empire will probably have one body off-site, possibly on the first floor, while the remainder of their team will sit on the basement and just patiently wait.
Well, the clear of the top floor already successful, by far. No one on the side of Empire sitting upstairs. A very light roam presence from Empire. You can see that they're trying to play conservatively. This could be a kill, but Magnet's not going to commit. Probably would have been his demise. Joystick, very quick reactions. But the drop down open means that playing in that hallway is not going to be an option for Joystick moving forward. He's going to have to commit to a different play. He actually is still sitting down there by that hallway, with just a little bit different location. C4 from Kazeka. Wasted, unfortunate to see.
This was the one that caught Magnet last time, expecting a similar entry, but it wasn't the case. Actually, we saw the same thing from Ninjas in Pajamas and Fnatic when they played each other before in the Paris Major, as the pre-play C4 was used quite effectively against Ninjas in Pajamas. This time around, Fnatic is a little bit aware and are able to drop on out. There goes an Evil Eye camera, providing the fact this grenade works, and there you go. Virtue will also take down Dan, so the linchpin of the defense for Empire on this site previously will be removed from the board, as well as an Evil Eye. That is a massive loss on both counts to Empire.
Joystick's still roaming by servers, and he might be somewhat of a savior if he's able to get some kills from this position, but it doesn't look like Fnatic want to expose themselves to Joystick. Now, the thing is, not wanting to expose yourself is all well and good, but you only have 30 seconds left. Well, now 20 seconds left to make an attack happen onto this site. They have opened up the garage panel with that thermite, which is fantastic to see, and that's going to be their main committed strategy. They took out the Evil Eyes. They're stalling out that gas canister. Joystick, though, is going to start influencing this round by taking down none other than Virtue. Here we go. Plant going down. Is there any denial from Empire? It doesn't seem so. The rush up from Smoke by Pipes, not going to be able to make anything happen immediately, but he will take down one after the diffuser has been planted. It's a 2 versus 2 here for Fnatic, and they have the post plant, but one more for Joystick. It's just Lusty in the 1 versus 2. He has to expect the run out from Yellow Stairs, and yes, indeed, he is, but can he win the gunfight? The answer is no! Karzeka will disable that diffuser, and Joystick, the hero of the round, gets the final kill.
Such a hard angle to play for both Lusty as well as Joystick, but Joystick having the high ground, as we would say, able to fire over those marble banisters, and because of this, well, Lusty is trying to essentially thread a needle that he wasn't able to do. Empire 4 rounds in a row, and now as we switch sides, Fnatic likely feeling a bit defeated, but nonetheless they have an opportunity to possibly shift momentum. This is the time where every team takes a breather and then goes into a new half, likely geared up and ready for whatever challenges may be thrown their way. For Fnatic, it will be the console office site upstairs, similar to Empire. And for Empire, well, it's going to be a lineup that actually looks quite similar to Fnatic, but a big difference is going to be the addition of a Thatcher, an operator that was neglected by Fnatic. Instead, in many rounds, they were running the Twitch instead, and will barrel on into that 7th round.
So, The question now becomes, is Fnatic going to be better off on the defense, as you were talking about? I mean, it's Consulate, like you said, an interesting map when it comes to attacker-defender sided. But I don't know. I agree with what you were talking about earlier, way back when you said that this is Empire's map, man. We've discussed this at length before. It should go the way of Empire, and that is going to put more pressure on Map 2 and Map 3, Border and Clubhouse. When we get to those, if we get to Clubhouse, that's a big if. Now, if also Fnatic can put up a valiant effort here on Consulate, that's going to give them a lot of confidence moving on to the next map, whatever the result ends up being.
If you can keep Consulate close, as Fnatic surely are trying to do,
yeah,
I think that's enough of a victory where you can go on into that second map. Because of the way that Empire has their map system set up, and because of the way that map bans work on LAN, in a best-of-3 setting, you know that the second map that a team plays is likely going to be the one that they pick. You'll ban their best map, sure, in this case it was Oregon. You know that Consulate or Coastline is going to get through. You have to be prepared against a team like Empire to out-duel them on those maps. And there's strategy involved in that. But there are teams who go into it expecting to lose their opponent's map and then make up the ground elsewhere. The problem for Fnatic is if they can't win Border, then obviously they're done because that's the second map. But the bigger problem is that momentum will be on Empire's side. If you can start off as Fnatic on your own map and win it, that gives you a lot of momentum moving on into the next map and then on to Clubhouse. But we saw quite a bit of weaknesses from Fnatic on Clubhouse. We went back in time to check when the last time Nora Rengo played Clubhouse was, and we couldn't find an instance in the last 7 or 8 months, and yet still, Fnatic had quite a degree of difficulty. They won't hear. Karzeka will shut Virtue down on the jump back in, but it's Dan who falls first. Both teams will lose something, but that's the singular hard breacher here on Consulate. Now, with the way a Thermite is played on Console Office, that likely means that the wall next to Long Desk will be safe for the remainder of the round, and this is going to imperil Empire's push because they're going to have to go through single doorways rather than a much larger opening that you would have likely seen the smokes from Shepard work on to try and isolate that wall.
Definitely a solid kill on the Operator, but in terms of players, I mean, Virtue, again, every time he dies, it's bad. Lusty as well, getting picked off, and it's a Claymore kill for Empire. Aces is going to start contributing to his team's success, but he's lost a lot of HP in that endeavor. Just Magnet really on the side of Fnatic with that full HP. Aces going to have to hit a lot of headshots if he wants to contribute moving forward.
Karzeka knows somebody is playing by those projector windows. As you can see, the proximity stun going off, affecting him at the same time. Oh, Aces will gun down Scyther, though, and put us up into a 2v2, a number that is very familiar so far in this matchup, as both teams have been running into this number over and over again. Magnet is headed for the hills, and it's just waiting, possibly trying to retake for the site. Karzeka is in, he's downed Aces, he has full control and can go for the plant. We'll see where Magnet comes from is going to be the real question. Fnatic appears to be blind for the time being, but from below, there's Magnet. Is he going to be able to cut down the plant of Karzeka? No, he misses! He sees the location, but he picks incorrectly. Karzeka will get away. He's very low on HP, but Ace is crawling down to Magnet will once again put us back in a position where both teams have a 2v2. They're both worse for wear, and the diffuser will create a scenario in which Fnatic will have to hurry to get back to site. They might be boxed out. This is going to be a problem for Magnet as the doors at the top of Spiral Stairs are barricaded. And he's going to waste about 7 seconds just to move on over, head up the Visa Stairs. Aces has crept his way on in. Magnet gets shut down from Karzeka, and Aces will have to be the hero of this round. It could possibly be a 5th in a row for Empire, looking to push this one away. Shepard going for the bullet pen kill, but cannot find it, looking to see if he can engage with Aces, and there you go! It'll be a joint effort. Karzeka pulls out the pistol. The sidearm is enough. 5 rounds in a row for Empire. They look indomitable right now. Nobody from Fnatic is really doing much to be able to shut them down, losing the tide of war here. That's the first defense for Fnatic falling away.
Fnatic have not won anything since the second round. That's a tricky spot to find yourself in if you're a team going up against someone like Empire on their map. Doesn't seem like they have much in the tank either. What we were seeing in that last round looked good for a moment from Fnatic. This run out here, fantastic, but the fact that it was punished, ultimately, main downfall there. Karzeka played a huge role in the outcome of that round. Getting that refrag was massive. This was a mistake from Rizraz. The second impact went a little far. It did not get the Claymore. You can see his mechanical skill pretty on point. He knows what he's gonna expect, but he just doesn't execute it perfectly. Though, the second run out did work out for Aces on that, expecting another Claymore. But good caution there. Overall, that round, Fnatic were focused on the wrong points of contact that Empire were trying to put up. It was clear and simple, an admin take. And Fnatic were, I think, messing around with the wrong parts of that take to try and give themselves some alleviation. They were worried about the flank, and rightfully so, but the pressure being applied to Projector was just too strong, and, well, there wasn't anything to shout back on the way from Fnatic.
It's been an interesting start for Fnatic that transitioned into expectations falling short, I think, of a lot of people's predictions on this matchup. I mean, Empire did seem to be the favorite heading on into this match. Heading on into this tournament, I would have said Empire was the favorite. Some of the expectations were dulled a bit just by the fact that Shockwave was dropped from the roster seemingly last minute, messing up a good thing a lot of people thought. But Dan's contributions have been quite strong, especially in this game so far. He's bottom fragging, only 2 and 7, but he's been on a very hard support role, so don't expect him to be in a position where he is the main engager in a lot of these fights. He's actually taken a lot of Shepard's roles, and Shepard has moved on over in a place where he's excelled. We're used to seeing Shepard towards the bottom of that scoreboard. For the time being, it is Dan. But keep in mind that yesterday, he proved that, Dan at least, proved that he can hang with the best of them. Oh, you're not getting away with that one again, Joystick. Magnet is ready, prone, holding a tight angle, and will shut down the IQ entering in.
Beautiful shot there from Mag. As Joystick goes down, lots of utility, going to be a lot more persistent. Shepard, though, downstairs, going to shut down one of the roamers, and with that roamer gone, it's Virtue. A little bit of pressure alleviated on the side of Empire. They can now not worry so much about their flank, though, of course, as per usual, they will watch their flank diligently.
Still inside of admin for the time being. 90 seconds eclipsed in round number 8. A bit of jostling from roles as well. You saw Joystick running the Capitao quite persistently last matchup against Dark Zero. This time it's going to be in the hands of Shepard. Capitao is an operator who is quite strong at the moment, so to speak. I don't exactly know what they're going to utilize, as only one fire had gone off early on. Lusty took a gamble heading outside. His position was given away too. You know that he's re-entered from over on yellow stairs. Dan repelled upside down. He'll gun down Magnet, who once again, Dan in a position now all on his own over on the balcony. He can repel on in. He also holds that diffuser. Once again, this was a role that Shepard had played on, but Shepard is now still trying to possibly figure out if there's any presence down on that main floor.
Dan on a balcony is going to be very important in this round. He has the diffuser in hand, but here we go, another run out, and this time it works for Rizraz. Despite the Claymore being placed earlier, he actually gets it this time. Fnatic now still on the back foot in terms of man count, but there's no plant just yet, and we're going into the last seconds of the round. Ace is contributing significantly from long desk, but he will have to be the last player on Fnatic as Dan shuts down Rizraz. He's coming up. Top of Visa stairs. He cannot deny the plant. A beautiful shot from Dan. A fight he shouldn't have won, and he just managed to make happen, saving that round.
Really good play from Dan there, and I don't really know why we didn't see Aces start laying down the trigger a little bit earlier. There were constant pings going down. He knew that Dan was in that position, and whether he's on plant or not, you got 80 darn bullets in that LMG. Just start firing. Empire now find themselves on match point. It's been quite a triumphant comeback. 6 rounds in a row for the Russians. Right now, as I said, indomitable and unstoppable completely.
It just seemed like Aces maybe didn't want to give away his position, but at the same time, he got a kill here earlier. It was pretty predictable where he would be. Definitely a questionable decision made on Ace's part, but he has been having some pretty fantastic rounds individually, so give him a little bit of slack, I suppose. It was a nice try, that's for sure. We are on match point, though. Again, Empire's map. Map you would expect them to win. That has been much more relevant in this tournament than most other settings. Usually with the 7 map pool, the your map preference is less important, as it can, well, I mean, everyone's practiced everything, right? You've got some experience most places, and any maps that you haven't, you can ban out. And usually that boils down to some pretty back and forth maps through and through. But here at this tournament, it's been pretty extreme when you see something like this. When you see Consulate going 6-2 in favor of Empire. I mean, it's what you would expect based on their history, but at the same time, it's very extreme.
So we are in match point, and the win sitting for Team Empire could possibly be only about 30 or 3 minutes away. 3 minutes and 30 seconds, depending on if there's a diffuser that goes down from Empire's side of things. I mean, I'm really surprised with the way that Fnatic has just almost single-handedly rolled over. And I know you have to give a lot of praise to Empire, but at the same time, there has just been mistakes made from Fnatic. Hesitation, it seems like.
Yeah.
And if I'm trying not to be too much of an armchair psychologist, it seems like the pressure is really mounting on Fnatic here.
I don't know, at the same time, I think the test is going to come on map 2. We were talking about that earlier. I think the expectation is that Fnatic's going to lose here. And yeah, you shouldn't play like that. But I want to see what's going to happen with Fnatic moving on to map number 2. I want to see if they're going to let it get to their heads. Dan's going to shut down Rizraz. Dan has come alive the second half of this match. And he is just absolutely shredding his opponents recently. That last round, 100% all on Dan.
Oh, what a play on the Rizraz there. Just waiting as well for the drop. Very good reaction from Dan, too, who's still now outside. He's going to be holding on to that diffuser once again. Joystick and entry onto Virtue, and the IQ shuts down the pulse. That's pretty commonplace to see. 2 offsite players for Fnatic have been silenced, leaving Lusty now in a position to walk on up the yellow stairs towards the first floor, and now up towards the second floor as well. It does appear that there seems to be a shortage of information from Fnatic. Waiting to see if there's going to be another body, but also Aces is above too. Is that what I'm seeing here?
Yeah.
So Fnatic have no bodies on the site, and Aces will walk away with the kill onto Karzeka, possibly trying to shut down and bamboozle Empire, who are now looking to translate this final 60 seconds into a push onto the first floor. Lusty will find Scyther now, so this call from Fnatic working out quite well. There's another from Lusty, picking up a second onto Shepard, and just not expecting this aggression from Fnatic on yellow stairs to try and turn the tides of this round.
It was a full hard retake on the top floor, and it was beautiful to see every player from Fnatic committing to that roam clear. And wow, there's a beautiful shot as well onto Dan just outside of garage, leaving only Joystick. 1 versus 3. And he's got one lit opponent, but he's not even gonna get past Lusty. A beautiful round from Lusty on the Bandit. And looky here, it seems Fnatic have woken up. It only took them 6 rounds in a row, but finally they get another 6-3, favors still Empire.
You're going to have to go towards maybe that lobby on the main floor or back up to console office, which was not successful for Fnatic. We might have ourselves a game here, but it's still too early to tell. What happened in that round was simply Empire not expecting the fact that Fnatic would basically vacate the site. All of Fnatic moved up. There was not a single body on that basement floor. Aces was the closest, as you could see on the main lobby of the spiral stairs. A run out from Lusty, which is perfectly visible on your screen right now, and then looked for a second and just simply won the duel against Shepard with that M249. A fine gun, but still clunky with that ACOG at close range, and you're not gonna outduel the MP7 when you're in that position. It's a good performance, and both Lusty and Aces doing the work that they need to do. If you're Fnatic, you gotta hope that Rizraz and Magnet wake up as well, because for the time being, you were carried by Virtue through most of those rounds, who's seemingly fallen off just a tiny bit. You're gonna need good individual efforts. As for Empire, the whole team is gunning. Dan was the only one who's a little bit behind, and he's picked it up over the last couple rounds, so.
Virtue hasn't been having a good defensive half so much. Actually, he hasn't gotten many kills on the defensive half. He ended the attacking half, I think, with like 11 or 10. If
I remember correctly, Virtue had 10 kills for the first 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah.
And since then, he's only picked up 2.
Yeah, so it's been tricky. It's been tricky for Virtue, for sure. Well, we'll see if he can wake back up. Lusty's going to bring that alibi. I was actually talking with Fnatic about it earlier, and they was like, yeah, when we want a Legion or something like that, he got Lusty on alibi. So he can make it work, though. He can make it work. He's got the chops. They give Lusty a high rate of fire weapon. He really lands his headshots. We saw a great example of that in the last round.
I'm glad that they switched off of the pulse from Fnatic's side as well, because the IQ is going to be ran by Joystick every single round. It has been so far. Through these 4 defensive rounds, it's been an IQ in his hands every time. Since the loss of the ACOG on the R4C, Joystick has reinvented himself and the operators that he plays. He's been going through IQ, Nomad, Jackal, and then yesterday, briefly, the Capitao. There's some people saying that they'd changed up roles with the addition of Dan onto the roster, and well, it does appear to be the case. Dan is playing, like I said, more of Shepard's roles, which has allowed a bit more freedom on Empire's side of things, but Joystick is doing exactly the same. He's been landing his shots quite commendably so far today, as a minute has passed in this round, and Empire still trying to focus on that second floor. Like so many teams, they'll clear through admin onward, and it's Karzeka and Joystick who will be the first 2 points of contact for Empire.
There's a middle floor defense here from Fnatic, and they have a heavy roam on the top floor. Joystick, the spearhead here, as you can see, he's all alone trying to clear this out. Shepard's going to come up from behind, though, to support him. Got a little bit of an LMG problem going on here. He's just trying to clear out above, it looks like, to maybe throw a firebolt in. See what he can do to clear out anyone playing in Projector. Actually, Fnatic has completely fallen off. They're gone. They left the top floor. Interesting. So as soon as any amount of pressure starts coming out, Fnatic decide to leave. Also, I mean, 2 minutes wasted, it could have just been a call on the timer alone.
This is what I assume they referred to as when they said Aussie Siege. Well, you've got a minute left, and you have 2 bodies just immediately fly off the site and head down to the basement like a bat out of hell, as that was what we saw from Rizraz. And I mean, the way that the Valkyrie of Rizraz was positioned, it looked like he was trying to contest all the way down to the vending machines and printer on that second floor. And when you're going up against an ACOG on the commando of Joystick's, weapon, and you've got an MPX, Joystick's probably going to win that fight every single time. We saw a flank drone get established downstairs as well inside a cafeteria, so if there's a rotate happening at any point, Empire is going to know of it. They'll be fully aware of the tricks that are being employed by Fnatic. But they're running out of time, so Empire are going to have to just barrel on into the site. 30 seconds to go, and lobby appears to be clear. It's a run out from Lusty, but it doesn't bode well for Fnatic's chances as he gets felled by Karzeka. Somebody on Empire is inevitably watching this maneuver. Asphyxiating bullets and smoke will go on in as Scyther is inside of the site. He'll go for the drop. Virtue cuts down Joystick, and amidst the smoke, it's going to be the Capitao planting. But Magnet and Dan will both be able to trade off kills. From above, Karzeka trying to keep his team in it. Somebody will have to retrieve that diffuser, and Karzeka will be vulnerable. Time is out. Where is he? Find him. You've got the marks. You're going to have to get him. And then there's Magnet to save the round for his team. A cheeky smile, and 2 in a row for Fnatic, as they have finally seemingly grabbed this momentum that they needed to give us a closer match than we were heading towards.
The Evil Eye persisting. Beautiful job there on the information side for the defense. Magnet able to retake into the top floor, and that is something that Fnatic have been excelling at throughout this match. Retaking into top floor on Consulate is something, it's beautiful. You gotta imagine what would have happened if Lusty had decided to go upstairs as well with Virtue and Magnet. It could have been even more one-sided, but ultimately it was something that ended up working out for Fnatic quite heavily. The Evil Eye, though, I think is the real hero there. Possibly also some Valkyrie cams, whatever was giving information within sight, though it looked like the Evil Eye persisted throughout the round. It was just by the circle desk. That's another thing. How does that Evil Eye not get dispatched by Team Empire? That's the question that keeps popping into my head.
And I think these 2 late rotates that we've seen from Fnatic on both of these rounds have really derailed Empire's take.
Yeah.
Because you have 30 seconds left and you're just knocking down that door inside a lobby to start your execute, but every single member of the defense is alive. And realistically, when Lusty ran out, he could have just stayed in sight and you wouldn't have had that early pick.
So we've got a new bomb site going on here for Fnatic. The new bomb site. It's not really new. How long has it been out? 4 months? It's been a long time. First
time we saw it in any competitive LAN environment was, I believe, DreamHack Montreal in September last year.
Okay, so pretty long time. And it doesn't get played very often.
No. There's great debate.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate on this map. You can just show you how slow the competitive scene can sometimes be when it comes to selecting bomb sites or getting used to new things. But Fnatic's going for broke here. They're on match point. They have to win every single round to get us to OT. That'll be 2 more if they want to get there. and they're going to go to the new site, somewhere that Empire is notoriously good at attacking.
And Europe does play this site as well. We've seen it. There are a number of French teams that do play this site too, so it's not strange to have a team go here. And a lot of teams, especially Empire, will understand it. But if Fnatic can continuously maneuver, especially in the mid to later part of the round, it really forces Empire to commit a lot of time and maybe too many resources than they have access to find the remaining members of Fnatic.
You know what I noticed is that, again, Fnatic are not holding on to top floor. They're going for a retake strategy. I mean, you can easily predict the retake strategy here from Fnatic. They use yellow stairs to highway up to the top floor and start to retake when it comes to the dying seconds of the round, because they expect Empire to spend a lot of time taking that top floor, whether or not there are any roamers. And that's true, unfortunately, there for Karzeka. A little bit of a misplacement, too close to the hard bars. Now, because of that, we are going to see Empire slowly take admin office and then start working their way down. This is the strategy to take Tellers pretty easily.
But taking Tellers is usually where teams will go, because retaking the site from Archives up to Tellers involves just, what, rushing through the stairs? And you know how easy it is to patrol the stairs on so many different maps. I mean, it's part of what originally made maps like Cafe and others difficult to retake, because you could hold down the entire map with 1 or 2 staircases. And it's very challenging, especially when you tend to be resource starved. A lot of these defensive operators do not have the ability to do all that much in the latter half of a round for a retake. Though, you will likely see a Nitro Cell in the hands of Rizraz, the only member from Fnatic who has bothered to take any considerable damage. You also have one in the cap kit. Karzeka will drop and look to contest. Oh, he'll find Magnet for free. And the plant will go down from Shepard. And this is where Fnatic will really need to work very hard. Dan downs one and Scyther another. All the dominoes falling, and it appears that Empire will have a stranglehold on this round. Diffuser going down as well. And there's another body that will fall in the hands of Rizraz. And it's a flawless round to close out the map. It got scary for Empire there, but they'll take Consulate. We'll push ourselves to border. What a play from the Russian team, and a very strong recovery when their victory did seem in doubt.
But it's, I think, at the same time, as expected. Consulate, Empire. I mean, that is a map that they're supposed to win. And it was their map. They did pick it, I believe. 7-4 going the favor of Empire. I don't think that this is going to trip up Fnatic too much. In the past, you know, you look at Fnatic a year ago, I think, yeah, that would devastate them. That would take them completely off the rails, and they wouldn't be able to recover. But honestly, a 7-4, that's a valiant effort from Fnatic. It's a really decent job, not gonna lie. And moving on to Border, I think that there is still a chance here for the Aussies.
Yeah, you really needed to watch as to what happened on Consulate to get a good grasp on what strength Fnatic had moving out of this map. Most teams probably head into this, they won't admit it, but expecting to lose either Oregon or Consulate just because of the way that the ban phase plays out. You have to set yourself up to not just win your own map, but then move forward. The problem for Fnatic, and the thing that really bodes well for Empire, is that, you know, no team that's won a series has lost their own map. So Empire now finds themselves in a position where if they're losing, they would be the very first team so far to lose their own map. That's a pretty good streak to be on for the time being, but there's only been 4 matches so far, so not exactly the best body of evidence. We have the analysts to give you much more insightful commentary over what just happened, so we'll let Milos take it away.